Welcome into another episode of the Rumph Classic Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Cohn. Today, we have a very special treat. The Rumph Classic comes around every August, but the work of the Daniel E. Rumph II Foundation, it happens all year long. So today, Ray Dunne sits down with Marcus Owens to talk about not only the work of the foundation the last year, but looking ahead and, of course, the last 19 years. Let's get into it.
So we're here today with the first recurring guest of the Danny Rumph Classic Podcast. I'm Ray Dunne alongside Marcus Owens. And Marcus, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me today. It's a great day. That time of the year, we back.
It's the best time of the year, and I'm filling in for Sam on this one because we had so much in terms of talking about what the foundation has been up to, the Daniel E. Rumph II Foundation, everything you guys have been doing. Obviously, a year ago, we talked on this podcast. You got a chance to talk with Sam on this podcast. Ms. Candy also talking about what you guys have been up to. But for people that, tuned in last year, that are back this year, can you give us a little bit of an overview of what the last year has been like for the foundation and what you guys have been up to?
Wow, it's been an amazing year, busy year, blessed year. We've donated the 12 defibrillators to all the Boys and Girls Club in Philly. We've created youth programs at the Boys and Girls Club, which you were a part of. One of our most popular ones is the podcast program that you host for us. We did a culinary program at the building. We did a STEM program. And so we're turned the corner a little bit to provide some youth programs to kind of help get the kids off the streets, as well as also give them something that they can possibly use or want to venture into later on in their lives. We ventured into Delaware. We're about to donate 16 defibrillators into Delaware Boys and Girls Club for their north and southern regions. We continue to do our homeless give back program where we provide free clothing, food for the homeless in our community. We continue to work, right? Continue to work.
And you mentioned that to me, I think, before we even get into talk about the podcast seminar and some of those like career building things that I was lucky to be a part of, and you guys have done such a tremendous job getting so many kids involved. But you had talked before that when we were just talking, I think back in September, about just really taking your reach and expanding it as much as you can. You mentioned getting down into Delaware. What has this last year been like in kind of just expanding the footprint of what the foundation can do?
It's been great. I feel like we can go national with some of our things, our programs, especially the donation of AEDs into Boys and Girls Clubs and different rec centers and facilities like that. I got into the Homes from Give Back programs in Delaware, where I work with some community centers down there, where I would do some community work in Delaware there. We're looking maybe even do Chester or something like that. We had another heart screening this year. We did at the Boys and Girls Club. Approximately 150 kids were screened this year. We're having a second one in October, which gives us the first time that we are able to promote a heart screening that's definitely coming up in October, where before it was always like we think, but now we know we have the date locked in, the place locked in. And so we'll be doing heart screening October 5th at the Crane Center at 10th and Vine. And we're hoping to pull in another geographic of ethnicity group. So we want to try at this point, try to get some more Asian or Chinese groups to come in and start building on our screenings, not just in African-American communities, but try other communities and see where's the difference between and see how different we are when we come to these tests and what's showing through these tests.
Yeah, and just trying to really take this, I think around the city at this point. It kind of seems to be where you guys are going, whether it be the AEDs, whether it be these heart screenings, getting that out there. What have you seen, what is the push now to kind of push it beyond the boundaries of where it's been?
Well, just say we're going to we want to push it. We want to make sure that we get Philadelphia covered first, right? So we make sure our home base has been touched everywhere we can touch it. So we'll continue to move in different communities in Philly, but we know that the program that we have is something that's needed in other places, Delaware, Jersey, Chester, just the surrounding area. But it can definitely be a national program where we can go across the country to California, maybe do something in L.A. with the Drew League, their area, their facility. We know that it can grow to that size because this is one thing about this screening. It's needed everywhere. Kids everywhere can be walking with a problem. So
And that heart screen that you guys had, you mentioned 150 kids. What was that process like? And for someone that maybe hasn't been to one of those, what is that service, that you guys kind of provide, and how does a day like that go?
Well, what we do is you sign up, you register, you come in, check in. They sit you down, questionnaire, answer family history is important. You answer those questions. They take you to a EKG, height, weight is done, and if anything comes back, the doctor reviews the EKG. If they see anything, they may take you get an echo done. This year we kind of expanded a little bit, and we added like a CPR, a little slight training there, some information about other health issues, made like a health fair. So while you're waiting for your results, you can go down in the gym, walk around, get important information about different things.
And one of the things on top of just the screenings, I know it's been very important for you to teach, whether it be CPR, whether it be using these types of devices of hey, like let's teach, get in there, because that becomes so much more important on top of that when there's something that may happen or something like that. And these kids not just understanding their own health, but understanding how to help others who might be having something going on.
Yes. One of the big things about the screen is a lot of the anomalies that could cause sudden cardiac arrest. You don't know. A lot of kids may not know they even have it. And so, although they're going to the doctors and getting physicals, they're not getting an EKG done. And one of the reasons we're pushing these screenings is the back end of it is to change, the policies and requirements, and make sure that we can try to get us to add EKGs into these kids' normal physicals. Because if nothing else, if they can get that, you may catch some. You may not catch all, but you may catch some. So we just want to just add something to the physical besides just go get a stethoscope, say breathe, hold your breath, and go ahead, you're good.
Right. And what's that process like, trying to get that, those guidelines changed? Because those are things that, have been probably in place for a long time.
Yeah, tough. And that's why it's important for us to work with Children's Hospital and Dr. Vetter and her team, because they have the research and the capabilities to help get this pushed through. They have the connections with the American Medical Cardiologists of America that you can touch and talk to and give her research information to say, hey, this is something that we should look into. So that's why that partnership with CHOP is very important for that piece.
Now, we focused a lot early on here, a lot on the work, obviously surrounding everything with the heart, and obviously you guys do health-wise, but you guys have really, really, I think in the last year, I remember listening back to a year ago, talking about some of the things you were looking forward to, some of the seminars, some of the different career-based things that you were looking to get into. I think this year, it was a big step for the foundation, for all the different things that you guys were able to pull off. Talk to me a little bit about, obviously I've got the experience with the podcast seminar, but, I remember being up there at the Boys and Girls Club, and I could smell the cooking going on from my classroom. I know you guys got plenty cooking right now in terms of the foundation. Tell me a little bit about all the different programs you were able to get started.
Well, we started with the STEM and the culinary program. Mm-hmm. The STEM program was okay. The kids didn't really respond as great to it as we wanted them to. But it worked. We would love to bring it back. Culinary program took off. We had to change chef because the one chef just kind of didn't get there much. But we had a new chef come in that really engaged the kids and showed them different healthy meals to cook and how to take stuff home and tell them how to cook, eat healthy and cook healthy. And so, but the big thing that took off, as you know, is the podcasting. They went to that like crazy. I think that because that's the hottest thing out here. I think they know about it, and it was great that when you were talking to them the first year, we didn't even have mics or nothing.
Nope.
And they still was engaged because you had them engaged with just learning how to develop a topic, and learning how to talk to one another and engage with one another. And so that was just amazing to me that first year how you made it work without even mics. So when we got the mics and everything, it just took off. So you probably can speak more to that than I can.
Well, that's a testament, really to the foundation. Here was something we needed, and next thing you know, we tried it out in the fall, and we tried out the Shane Victorino Boys and Girls Club. We just basically had a classroom, and it was like, all right, let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can, get students to show up consistently and get passionate about this. And that group, I got a chance in June to see. I think it was 3 of the students came back for the seminar that we did for the day long there at Germantown, and they were loving it. It was great to talk with them again. They were talking about how much they enjoyed and what they were up to. I mean, one of the students now, she's got 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. Wow. I was like, you know what? When you make it, I'm gonna need you to remember who was the podcast seminar instructor.
Exactly.
If you got a job you could offer me, I'll take that. But seriously, that group was so great and just buying in on what they did, and I think a testament to the foundation, you guys buying in on the equipment, and I think that was a big step. And I don't know, what it meant to you to see it, whether it be our spring run of it or whether that day in June, just see them get to use the equipment, get on the equipment, because you could see their eyes light up, especially that Roadcaster. That Roadcaster is a beautiful piece of equipment. They're like looking at it. When you told them they could, play sounds on it, they were having a time with it. And I think that, only serves to grow what they want to do and what they can get passionate about.
Absolutely. It was our pleasure to do that. I mean, when I seen them in June get on the machines and just go, and we had 2 kids that just got on the mic and you didn't even give them instructions, and they just they just went back and forth like they've been on mic for a long time. And the excitement to see the kids accept it and take it and run with it, and that's the whole purpose of all these programs, to introduce them to something that may lighten them up, lighten their eyes up and put a spark on their eyes and tweak interest, and then they take that and go further with it and run with it and create something with that in their lives. And you can't ask for nothing bigger than that.
And I think the biggest example of that, at least coming back to me from my experience, was you were there for the last day of the fall seminar that we did at Shane Victorino Boys and Girls Club. And I remember the first day, it was like, hey, this is what we're doing. And everyone's giving the, okay, they're there. Everybody's got a podcast. We're sitting here talking on my, everybody's got a podcast. So they're interested in the idea of it. What can I do with this? But they're sitting there like, okay, what are we going to learn? Where's this going to go? To hear the conversations they were, 1, willing to get into, and then 2, just developing amongst themselves that last day. I don't know for you, but for me, I was sitting there like, man, I wish I could have like 2 more months. Like, I think, you guys are just a tremendous group. It meant a lot to me to see where they took it and what they wanted to talk about.
Absolutely. That blew me away, because from the first day we started, they was scattered in the room. They didn't want to talk that much. To the last day, you was telling them the last day, they was, oh, no. They was upset, and they talked and expressed all they wanted to do, talked about everything, the structure of it. And that day made me realize that we had to bring the mics in, because if they were that excited without mics in the computer, if we put the mics in front of them and give them the structure and show them, then they're going to take this and run with it.
And I think so much of it, to me, comes back to just the power of storytelling with all of them. They all have stories they want to tell. They all have different passions they want to express. And once you they were kind of given that outlet to it, for me, it just feels like I could sit back and like listen to what, you want to talk about, what you want to get into. And I think for me, at least, and this, you can echo this, if this is the hope for me, is that they kind of take the experience and they can then run with the idea of like, yeah, I can speak to what I want to speak to, and I can kind of take the conversation where I want it, from here, using the mics and using, just the principles we put in place in the seminar. But I hope it goes well beyond where, we're just the springboard for them to go do tremendous things and talk about what they feel passionate, what they want to talk about.
Well, we know our kids got a lot to say, and they're out in these streets and they're expressing themselves the wrong way. And so to show them how to express themselves in a formal way, they can take that to home, in their home and express and talk and communicate with friends and family, people like that. So, yeah, that is very important to give them some kind of structure to how to communicate, and hope that they use that in all parts of their lives.
And I've mentioned this day a couple of times. It was a Saturday of June. You got a ton of people together. It was at the Germantown Boys and Girls Club, and obviously they did a tremendous job in setting up the event. But the foundation really brought in a number of professionals to talk over just a lot of different career-based ideas. Tell me a little bit about the foundation's involvement in that. And there were so many students there that day on a Saturday in the summer, just trying to learn a little bit more about what they might the path they might want to go down.
Yes, Shakira asked me to help him out, just bringing some people for that day, professionals. And of course, first thing come to mind was you, because I knew the podcast would be a big hit. We called in a doctor from CHOP to do the CPR, and he spoke to him a little more about some medical professions as well as showing the CPR. But another big one that we brought in was a friend of ours, Jerry, brought in for the e-commerce business. And so that tied in with another gentleman that was there showing them how to make shirts. So the e-commerce showed them how to sell it and set up your own business. So they loved that class as well. And that's one of our new ones we bringing in this fall for the foundation. We're going to create a 10-week program for e-commerce at the Boys and Girls Club.
I'll tell you, I was taking a little bit of notes. I saw it there making the T-shirts. I was like, all right, this is how you make the merch. I didn't get my way down to the e-commerce one, but I was going to figure out my way to run a business that day, sitting in there. But examples of that, and you think back to really, the beginning of the foundation. Think about what you guys were setting out to accomplish. What do days like that mean to you?
It means a great deal. It means we're expanding our reach. We're using our power, our name, to continue to help better our city in all aspects. Health, youth. We still love youth basketball. Youth health is important. But now you hear so much violence with the kids in our city. We're using our name and our power to kind of go into that area to try to offer something to these kids to kind of keep them out the streets and help give them a better future as well.
And if we were to have this conversation a year from now, which I hope we do, this is a beautiful studio setup. We got
absolutely.
Yeah, all nice.
Nice.
I hope we get a chance. We'll make you the third time guest. If we're having this conversation a year from now, and we're talking about, hey, what a year it was for the foundation. What do you hope that conversation a year from now sounds like?
Man, yeah, we screened over 1,000 kids, and we touched 3 different ethnic groups that we branched into Delaware a little more, possibly did a screening down there, and possibly did some screening in Chester that we're branching out into our connecting states and cities near us, and also continue to build our programs here and have hundreds of kids coming through the new programs, podcasts, e-commerce, culinary, that we're passing. We're bringing more and more kids through those programs through the year.
I'm hoping that podcast program puts one of those podcasts puts on the map.
Put them on the map. So they started with us. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
That would be great. We're talking about the foundation putting somebody on the map.
Right.
Now, I have been told to, as we go through these podcasts, I have to ask you specifically for favorite moments throughout the Danny Rumph Classic. Now, I know last year we got the moment you were talking about Jason Tatum and all of that. So I'm going to take you back to last year's event. To you, what was the highlight for you specifically last year, since last year's podcast got you before the event?
Last year. What was last year? Last year, I believe it or not, the great, I didn't expect it to be, but the women's game. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the women's game really surprised me how the crowd came in for it. Like it wasn't like they came in for everything, but they specifically wanted to see the women play. That was impressive. I'm okay with female basketball. I like it. It's cool, but that kind of gave me a different perspective on it. That how many people actually are into it and wanted to see it. And then the other thing was just the storm, how we weathered that storm that hit us with all the stuff outside, and we had to get everything inside. That was amazing to see that, us work that out because, that was pretty crazy.
That's 2024. What are we looking forward to?
24. Every year we just look forward to the unknown. Mm-hmm. I think every year the thing that drives us is the unknown. We don't know who's coming, who might pop through, who might play. And I love the excitement behind what our shorts look like, and everyone's calling me in the next 2 weeks wanting to know what they look like and designs of them. And so, that's the unknown part of the Rumph Classic, not knowing when it gets here until it gets here,
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you doing this. I appreciate you coming back on.
Oh, thank you. It's been a pleasure. And it's been a pleasure working with you.
It's been great.
Appreciate everything you've done for the kids, and I hope, man, we continue our relationship and build it up.
Man, I hope for the same thing, and I hope that I think we should maybe use this as like an example for the kids.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
We'll have them grade it. I do so much of talking about their podcast.
Right.
Maybe we'll use this
They
one
had
to
a
come
great,
seminar
exactly.
time.
Exactly. Cool.
Thank you again. I
Oh,
appreciate
thank you,
it.
Ray. Appreciate it.